Hello everyone and welcome for my review of the latest chapter, chapter 1051 of One Piece, and more importantly, addressing the seemingly newest member of the Straw Hat crew, Yamato, aka self-proclaimed Kozuki Oden. And for this video, I'm going to refer to her as a she, as that seems clear to me. And to get the first thing out of the way, how I personally feel about her. Let's just say I'm in line with Sanji. But for this video, I want to talk about how much does it make sense to have her as the new member of the crew. How much does it make sense? How well does she fit as a character, and does she make sense as an addition to this quirky and colorful cast of personalities, to be an addition to that? And of course I have my opinion of her as a character, but not every character that is a likable character makes sense and fits into the dynamic of a team. But before I'll address Yamato further, I want to talk quickly about the chapter 1051, which had the focus on Momonosuke and the revelation to the people of Wano Kuni, to the citizens, revealing the defeat of Orochi and Kaido to them. It was nice seeing the retainers Kinemon had being still recognized, and that the people of Wano Kuni still remember and hold these samurai dear. Some might call it plot armor, some might call it cheesy. I mean, it's a shonen story. Oda won't kill off half of the cast. It seems surprising that Kinemon has made it through, but this raid has not gone without casualties, and I think that's fair. It was an amazing battle, and it was a battle that came to a closure. And in the end, I think many people are happy to see these characters still be part of the further story. Yamato declared her membership of the crew, with a bit of varying response, but I think it's a mostly positive response. The most reserved, or one could say the most negative, not even opposing response, was Jinbei, that he'll need the captain's confirmation. But it seems that they are mostly welcoming. We get no further information, no clearance on Zoro, just on Luffy that he's probably out till he gets up for the next big meal. Momonosuke's speech really seems fitting here. Something that needs to be, I think, addressed is that I was only pointed at by a comment that I saw on a YouTube video regarding the translation from Japanese to English, that Oda chose a very specific language for Momonosuke, one that signifies his heritage, having a bit of a noble choice of words befitting his status, but at the same time making quite short, grammatically simple sentences befitting his age. We get some further explanation of Tama's devil fruit abilities, explaining that her ability lasts for a month, and the animals can choose to go back or stay with her. Considering that the enchanted and charmed smile devil fruit users of the beast pirates are a strange hybrid not found in nature, it would be interesting to know how this plays out long term. The chapter further has a bit of focus on Tama, giving her a flashback and fleshing out the pain that she and the citizens of Wano Kuni endured, making this victory retrospectively even more impactful. And the chapter ends with Kozuki Momonosuke himself stepping out of the fog, having his image revealed to the people of Wano Kuni and more importantly to the readers. And this chapter ends with the overflowing emotions of the people of Wano Kuni, the retainers, breaking out into tears, and even Hiyori, aka Komurasaki, out of relief or possibly seeing her brother again as a big brother, or possibly recognizing him as coming after their father, also gives him a hug and tears. And the chapter ends with the last statement that this man, Momonosuke, will one day be known far and wide as one of Wano's greatest leaders. A very interesting point to go forward from. But I don't want to address Momonosuke and Wano Kuni further. I want to talk about Yamato in this video, as that seems to me the most important point, as we can treat Wano for now just as Wano, especially with in the context of Momonosuke having chosen to not open up Wano Kuni at the moment, remembering last chapter. So with Yamato, I already said it, I think she's a very interesting character. Of course she's strong, and people are already like having these videos on YouTube where they are like this is gonna be a 5 billion bounty crew and stuff, and clapping hands over Yamato joining, like it's no longer the monster trio. Now we have a crew of monsters alongside Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and also Jinbei, and now seemingly Yamato. Also, she design-wise is an appealing character, but it's not so much about a personal feeling, how I feel about the character, but how much she makes sense. And I think one of the biggest points of criticism was that she seems to lack a goal, first, and second, as pointed out by other people in the YouTube community, that a common theme, like a thread, in throughout the story of One Piece, in each arc, has been that most of the going to be members of the Straw Hat crew were originally reluctant or outright opposed to Straw Hat Luffy, to the crew, the Straw Hat crew, and did not want to join. That had been the case for Zoro, who didn't want to be even a pirate, who was a pirate hunter at that point, and his goal was never to be a pirate. His goal was to be the strongest swordsman in the world.
またおめえか、暇なやつだ。 縄解いてやるから俺の仲間になってくれ。
なんだと？
俺は一緒に海賊になる仲間を探してるんだ。
断る。自分から悪党になり下がろうってのか？ご苦労なこって。
海賊のどこが悪い？
海賊なんて下道だ。誰がなるか。
別にいいじゃんか。もともとお前悪い賞金稼ぎって言われてるんだから。
Usopp, who was just a villager, spinning his lies and being renowned, being famous or infamous in his little village for being the liar of the village. But he didn't really want to set out with Luffy.
お前面白いな。おいてめえ、俺をこれにするな。俺は誇り高き男なんだ。その誇りの高さゆえ人は俺を誇りのウソップと呼ぶ。シャンクスだと？お前赤髪のシャンクス、あの大海賊知ってんのか？なあ、ヤソップだろ、おめえの父ちゃん。
Nami, yes, she joined Luffy originally, but just in an alliance. Not so much as a real member, and she just wanted to use and exploit them to get money back to free her hometown from Arlong. So Nami also wasn't really outright planning to join the crew.
気に入った。仲間に入れてやらん。
潜入成功。やっぱ海賊は単純でやりやすいわ。
なんで檻の中？
Sanji, he was one of the most reluctant. He had to be almost pushed by his mentor Zeph and his co-workers at the Baratier. So Sanji also was originally more reluctant.
あ、死ぬところだったな。おい、コック、お前仲間になってくれよ。俺の海賊船のコックに。なあ、仲間になってくれよ。
それは断る。俺はこの店で働かなきゃいけねえ理由があるんだ。
やだ、断る。
何がだ。
お前が断ることを俺は断る。
Chopper, he didn't want to be a member of the Straw Hat crew. He sees himself as a doctor, and he was originally intending to stay with Kureha, the old doctor, the old lady.
あんたも来る？海よ、一緒に来ない？ん？そしたら私も助かるわ。船に医者がいればここに3日もいなくていいでしょ。それに今うちの船には。バカ言え！
俺はトナカイだぞ。人間なんかと一緒にいられるか。
だいたいお前、俺を見て怖くないのか？俺はトナカイなのに2本足で立ってるし喋るし。
Robin as well, she was just intending originally to hop onto the crew and hop off, exploit them.
私はもうあなたたちのところへは戻らないから。お別れよ、ここで、この町で。現に私はこの事件の罪をあなたたちにかぶせて逃げるつもりでいる。事態はもっと悪化するわ。
どういうことだ。なんでそんなことを。
なぜそうするのかもあなたたちが知る必要のないことよ。
Brook, he accepted Luffy's invitation like spot on, but it was more like a joke. I think it came clear over the course of the chapters that he did not really expect to become a member of the crew. And Brook in many ways is also a weird exception. We have Jinbei, who wasn't really hostile towards Luffy, but who did not join Luffy originally. He was his own thing, he was a Shichibukai, and he was not expected, I think, by the community to become a member, at least not in the context through that he was introduced in Impel Down, alongside reintroducing lots of old characters like Crocodile back to the story, which all led to the Paramount War, the war between the Whitebeard pirates and the Marines. We can go all the way through the members. Frankie as well was outright fighting Luffy.
偉そうに守ろうとするんじゃねえ海賊が。
そんなのはいい。
よくないわよお金は。
とにかく俺はお前をぶっ飛ばさねえと気が済まねえ。ゴムゴムの
聞いてるぜお前の能力。ストロングライト。
So most of them going to be members of the Straw Hat crew were first people who were opposed to Luffy and opposed to the idea of being part of the crew, and second, people who had a very distinct dream, some goal of their own that sets them apart and not be them, let them just be a member out of just being a member in a group of members. And the question is, what is Yamato's dream? What is her goal? And she seems to have the goal to set out to sea, but we don't see her really have a distinct goal, like finding something, achieving something, being something. So that's already 2 strikes against Yamato. And the only thing that speaks in favor of her is that she is kind of a cool and dope character with an absolutely dope devil fruit. Sure, Oda likes to keep things in a certain way and keep things to a kind of repeating pattern, which is not exclusive to Oda, but I think it's a stylistic choice that he deliberately practices. But that's only so far and so long as you can do that, up to the point where it becomes over predictive for a reader to extrapolate based on previous events and predict future events way too easy. And if you really want to be every member a little bit unique, a little bit outstanding, have their own unique background and way how they came into the crew, then there is the necessity to break up patterns a little bit every time, or else the repetition results in each new member being not recognizable as a stand-alone interesting character. And I think for Yamato, her not fitting past criteria, not fitting criteria of characters who would go on to be members of the crew, is not such a big strike against her joining. And even I would go further, her being the daughter of Kaido, being the daughter of an emperor, an enemy who had such a pivotal role, such a pivotal antagonistic role, who is trying so deliberately to be someone else, who has taken on the name of Kozuki Oden, opposed her father and everything that he stood for, and then had been called out in their fight to come after him, to be an Oni, to always be connected and associated with him. Which is, I think, a huge conflict, which is not a physical conflict, but a character conflict inside the character of Yamato, that this character still needs to overcome. And this is something that we won't, I think it would be a huge shame to be just brushed off the table. I think this is something that still needs to be addressed, and this is something that we will not likely see addressed in the rest of Wano. There will be a time when the Straw Hat crew says, goodbye Wano, cheerio, we gotta move on to the next island, the next location, whatever. And just leaving Yamato behind and giving her some flashbacks, or giving her some screen time through these mini stories that we see in the chapter pages. I think that will not be enough to flesh out and resolve the conflict, which is quite a big one, around and in her character, that she identifies as someone that she is not, trying so hard to not be associated with her father, which opens up the need for a character arc of Yamato, which is, I think, a huge point in favor of her joining the crew. Also, her goal currently being the only one to leave Wano Kuni signifies to me that her role will be finding her goal, finding her role, and finding her identity alongside the Straw Hat crew.